It's Time Warner Cable's Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance, and we're joined today by Jim Clarke. He is a member of the Culver City Council, which is not far from a couple of airports, one called Los Angeles International, another one called Santa Monica. And I understand there are some FAA rules and regulations under consideration that are of concern to the city of Culver City.
And should be to other areas too.
Okay.
So it's a program called Next Generation or Next Gen by the FAA. And what they're really doing is using technology to try to be able to streamline more the flight paths of the planes that are coming in to LAX and when they're departing. And it has an impact on us in Culver City because what it'll do are several things. One, it will narrow the flight paths so that certain areas will be inundated with more planes flying over as opposed to having it spread out. It'll
Flying over at a lower altitude?
And also at a lower altitude as well too. And they'll be, because they're using technology, they'll be able to put more planes into the flight path, the separation between planes. So we'll to accommodate what they expect to be an increase in, passenger flights into LAX.
I would presume that the airline industry is in favor of this.
Oh yeah, because they consider it to save a lot of fuel costs and that. And
so what can you do in the face of, I'm sure, very strong advocacy by the airline themselves?
Yeah, well, it's actually the FAA controls the airspace, and not even LAX has control over all of that. But what there was a public comment period for 30 days. We were able to get our Congress member and other Congress members to extend that to Karen Bass, along with others Congress members that were impacted by it, Ted Lieu and Lucille Roybal Allard and others, Maxine Waters, to get an extension for 90 days. And what we hope to do is to demonstrate what the impact is, because it will have a tremendous adverse impact on some of the people.
I want to get an update
City.
on that when you know more. Culver City, though, has demonstrated that it is a player when it comes to water conservation.
Yes.
So Culver City, as it stood, had a fairly low conservation standard set by the state of 16%.
Correct.
Which means that you've been doing
lower than what the governor had said at 25%.
Which means you had been doing well. But when the first report came out, it showed that Culver City residents saved 19%.
Correct.
How'd you do that?
Well, we had to institute stricter rules, and most of the water usage is outdoor landscaping. So two things: limiting the amount of times during the week that you can water and the hours that you can do that, as well as encouraging people to take up lawns and plant that.
But I think about Culver City, I mean, you got some nice sized plots in Culver City.
Yes, we do.
You have some nice green space, so it can't be easy to save 10%, let alone 19–20%.
Well, I got to tell you, Brad, I've got a bucket in my shower, and and I use that
for
the gray water to flush the toilet with, and I was an old military guy in the Coast Guard, so I learned how to take a sea shower, which is you soap up and and then you turn off the water and do all that, and then you turn the water back on.
How do you keep the momentum going, though?
Well, that is important because we don't. Two things. One, it's only 1 month's worth of data. So,
but still, it was a tough month. I mean, summer.
Exactly.
It was a summer month, so that's good.
Exactly, and there's some cities like Beverly Hills that didn't even come close.
But they had a 36% standard, so God bless them.
And the other is, now we're hearing stories about the Godzilla El Nino that's going to come, and so we don't want people to get complacent about it. And as soon as they see flooded streets and that, they're going to say, do I really can I take a longer shower now?
So we'll see what happens next, but momentum's building to continue to save. And please do come back, though, and let's talk about what's happening with the FAA, because I'm sure it impacts so many of us in Southern California. His name is Jim Clarke. He is a member of the Culver City Council. My name is Brad Pomerance, and you've been watching Time Warner Cable's Local Edition.